Suddenly my kids were talking about things that made me question everything I taught them. They'd push up against values. They would test patience, bring up ideas that clashed with my own beliefs. And I just have to be honest. Sometimes it's terrifying to see your children navigate this world where you begin to realize you have so little control over. Welcome to the Connect Method Parenting Podcast, where correction is out, connection is in, and your kids want to listen to you. I'm Andy Martineau, creator of Connect Method Parenting, here to help you stay calm, confident, and connected no matter what. Hey everybody, how are you? Hope you had an amazing Christmas. We're coming up on New Year's this week, which is crazy. 2025, here we come. We're going to make it the best year ever, right? Best year for parenting, best year for our life. That's my goal. I landed in Christchurch, New Zealand. We're on the Southern Island. This country, it's been amazing. And also the most unique Christmas we've ever had. We had such a treat. One of my dear friends from high school, her daughter was on the South Island, so she joined us, which was such a treat. Jerem, my oldest, flew in from the States and joined us. He left yesterday, and I have to say, I was sad all day yesterday. I couldn't put my finger on it until I was talking with my husband last night, and we decided we were just really sad that he left. And we're excited for the next couple of months we have left on this adventure. We officially know when we're going home. It's going to be in mid-February, which is exciting and also sad for this adventure to end. So that's what's coming up for my life right now. I hope you're having amazing things coming up for your life. One of the reasons I'm talking about this today on the podcast is because having 24/7 nonstop time with my family since September has been the most amazing thing ever. And also it's shown me a lot about myself that I didn't see before, which has been illuminating and humbling and exciting in some ways too. So I wanted to talk about that today, and I got up early. My kids are all still asleep. My husband left to go play pickleball for the first time since we've left the States. He loves pickleball. He found a place here in Christchurch. We're in this fairly big city for a few days. We came here so that my son could catch his flight home, and we decided to stay and get some of the things that we needed here while we're in a big city before we go exploring some of the more rural areas. So I'm up early, and I was thinking just about this episode I'm going to record for you and the things that I think would be beneficial to share with you all as I'm reflecting on my nonstop time with my adult and young adult children, teenage children. My son who just left is 25, and then my 22-year-old daughter, my 17-year-old daughter, and my 16-year-old daughter have been with me, for better or worse, nonstop since the beginning of September. And there's been, just a lot of really good experiences and hard experiences as we've all missed the familiarity and the routine of home while simultaneously absolutely loving the things that we're experiencing here. So this all led me to want to talk to you about coming alongside today. It's something that I talk nonstop inside of my program league, very directly, coming alongside. What does that look like? How do we see and hear our children? And I talk about it indirectly all the time here. I don't know if I've ever called it out specifically on the podcast, but it's alluded to, inferred all of the time. So let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like your heart couldn't possibly stretch any further? Like you've hit an absolute limit of what you can handle, only to discover that parenthood has some other plans for you? And that's how it feels sometimes, especially when our kids enter adolescence. So if you have a tween, teen, or young adult kid, this episode is especially for you. If you have younger kids, listen and get ready for what's in store. It's the best, I think, and the hardest in some ways too, a phase that our kids go through. There's a kind of love that comes with parenting, a love that defies reason and logic. And it carries us through those sleepless nights with the crying baby and the chaos when the toddler is having their big tantrum, and the realization that as our kids get older, we can't solve all of their problems anymore. And adolescence, well, that's a whole new level. I remember thinking naively that once my kids started growing into independence, life would be easier. They would need me less, right? They'd figure things out on their own. But the truth is that parenting isn't about arriving at some finish line. There's no arrival. It's more like one of those video games that the teenage boys love to play. Just when you think you've mastered this level, you hit a new challenge, a tougher boss, a whole new skill set to develop. And for me, those challenges have come in the form of conversations I wasn't ready for, topics I didn't want to engage in, behavior that was alarming to me. Suddenly, my kids were talking about things that made me question everything I taught them. They'd push up against values, they would test patience, bring up ideas that clashed with my own beliefs. And I just have to be honest, sometimes it's terrifying to see your children navigate this world where you begin to realize you have so little control over. And I know for me, and I've talked to so many of the parents I've worked with, that there's a moment for a lot of us where we feel the reality of what life looks like as our kids grow up, and we want to push back. We want to escape. We want to find a remote cabin in the woods where there's no Wi-Fi. But that doesn't work. And what I have continued to come back to over the years, when my brain wants to go there, when it feels like things are challenging, when I feel pushed to my limits with my kids when they were little, and especially as I've gotten older, and I felt perhaps disconnected or uncertain, this idea that I learned from Dr. Neufeld years ago coming alongside comes back to me. And I want to really look at it today in this podcast episode because it's so important. And right now, with your kids home, with it being a holiday, coming alongside is something that, as those disagreements, as those fights, as the contention, as the conversations, as the behavior comes up, you can see all of those moments as an invitation to come alongside. So I want to talk about it again. If you've heard me talk about it inside of League, and maybe for the first time that I've directly called it out on the podcast because it is so important. So what does it really mean to come alongside your child when everything they're doing feels provocative or personal or uncomfortable? How do you stay connected when what you want to do is anything but stay connected or stay close or understand them? For me, it started with a decision to not shy away from any topic or behavior or interaction that made me uncomfortable, to try my best to lean in instead of leaning out of experiences that I didn't agree with, or I didn't understand, or I didn't know how to respond to. So let me give you an example that really is a collection of so many people's experiences, including my own. And I put it into one hypothetical experience, but it comes from so many real experiences. So let's say that you have a teenage boy that wants to talk about video games nonstop. And you're not really that into video games. You wish they didn't even exist, perhaps. You definitely don't want him playing as much as he is. But let's say that's what he wants to talk about all of the time. And then let's say you decide to go on a hike with him. And you've promised yourself that you're going to meet your teenage boy exactly where he's at no matter what. And you've told yourself that even if all he wants to talk about for the entire hike are his video games, you're not going to shy away from that topic, even though it makes you uncomfortable, even though you're not even sure you like the idea of him playing those games. And so you've made this decision. You decide to go on this walk. And lo and behold, the only thing your teenage boy wants to talk about is this first-person shooter video game. And if you're a pacifist mom like me, that is the ultimate test. But you lean in, you listen, you ask questions, real questions, not the kind designed to end the conversation or to teach him something. You ask real questions with curiosity, and something incredible happens. Suddenly, the subject matter stops feeling so personal. And by the time you reach the end of your hike, you guys have been opening up and sharing things in ways that you've never shared or opened up or had conversations like before. Let's say he's sharing his feelings about the game now, what he likes about it, but also what he doesn't like about it, why he's drawn to it and why he wish he wasn't drawn to it. And you listen in wonder at the way his mind is unfolding and developing. And the conversation teaches you something profound. your discomfort has been creating a barrier between you. And by letting it go, you made space for connection. You see that even though this was very uncomfortable, it was very difficult for you, it wasn't easy, it was worth it. And over time, more tiny and maybe even not so tiny moments come up for connection. And you find yourself talking more and laughing more and engaging more. You feel more connected. And you realize the power of coming alongside. Literally on the walk, you were coming alongside physically, but also emotionally, mentally, coming alongside every step of the way. And you realize that coming alongside isn't about agreeing with everything or giving up your values. It's about creating a lifeline, a relationship so strong that it can withstand the messiness and the mayhem and, let's go with this hike analogy, the mud, the literal mud and dirt that comes with life, that it can withstand all of it. It's about creating a relationship that moves beyond all of the messiness. And let's be clear, the mud's always going to be there. The mess is always going to be there. There's going to be a little bit of mayhem and confusion, but you begin to become more and more comfortable with that. And you get better at coming alongside your child. And some days you celebrate that the best you can do is come alongside your own resistance to what's going on. And you commit to holding on to that lifeline and creating something so strong, something so unshakable that no matter what life throws at you or your kids, that your relationship is stronger than that. And you show your kids that no matter what, we are in it with them. We want to understand them. We are on their team. We are on their side. We believe in their goodness. I love Dr. Carl Jung's, motto, you guess you could call it, where he says, come with unconditional positive regard. And they know that that is our desire. So how do we bring this into our own parenting? There's 3 things that I want you to remember. 1, you got to lean into the discomfort. Those topics that push your buttons are often the ones that offer the biggest opportunity for connection. So don't shy away from them. Lean in with curiosity. 2, strengthen the relationship. That relationship with your child is the most powerful tool you have. Build it, nurture it, trust that it will hold even in those hardest moments. And if you feel like it's weak right now, ask yourself why and how can I repair it? And 3, expect the mess. Parenting is messy. It's not clean. The kids aren't going to always do what we want. Life isn't going to present all of the scenarios that we wish it would present. So instead of resisting it, embrace it. Realize that the challenges can make the connection even stronger. Parenting isn't about fixing everything or protecting our kids from the challenges. It's about walking alongside of them, even when it's rocky and stormy and messy. It's about holding on to the belief that together you're going to find your way, that with the relationship intact, you will be able to come alongside and help and assist your child in a way that will serve them. So even though it's challenging to come alongside, my hope for all of us is that we allow our hearts to be stretched to their capacity, that we grow bold and become beautifully emboldened by the challenges and the tough times so that we can find our joy, our connection through all of the messiness. You all, I love that we get to have these conversations each week. Thank you so much for joining me today. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a fellow parent who could use some encouragement or use some awareness around the idea of coming alongside. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Stay connected with your kids. Go connect your face off with them. Get curious. And remember, you're doing better than you think you are. We'll see you next time. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, come check out League, my Connect Method parenting coaching program, where we take this material and we apply it using my proven formula. Head over to cmp.works/join.